Good morning. I hate ads. I hate ducking ads. That tends to be how the day starts, though. Good morning, BC Wendale. Good morning, good morning. I still have not fixed the chat. But I figured that's gonna be a later me thing because yesterday was quite the day, and so was last week. The pretty much the entirety of last week. I had a health hazard. I very much had a health hazard in my bedroom where I stream. You know, so that happened. Yeah, so let me just pop up over here. I really need to like recalibrate where I put stuff. But that's also a later me thing, you know? But yeah, I had a health hazard in my room, so I had to not be here for Wednesday. Unfortunately, desafortunadamente, which is my favorite word to say in Spanish for some reason. I don't know what it is. That word just makes my brain go vroom. Desafortunadamente. It's just fun to say. Well, yeah. I figured that, you know, because I was able to get back to work like 2 days ago, after taking care of the health hazard. And, of course, our good friend Ollie and Ashford debuted yesterday. They got the, condensed VOD up on their YouTube channel, but, their full VOD is here on twitch.tv/Ollie and Ashford. It was a fantastic debut. I mean, it wasn't, they didn't debut yesterday, they debuted on Friday. My days are all kinds of mixed up. I'm sure you can tell. It's what happens when you get thrown out of whack because of random things that happen in your life. Well, yeah, today, you know, I figure we could go ahead and continue onwards. I got the Live2D up. Hello, SG Wonder, good morning. It was good to see you at the debut. I had lots of fun rigging Alien's model. I could not show it to anyone, and it drove me absolutely ducking nuts because I was like, I want to show people. There's so much I put into this. So much. And I really wanted to show people because there was so much going on that I did. All of the details. And I'm going to be showing y'all how I set stuff up today because I haven't actually done that in a while, and I'm actually doing it on 2 platforms today. So, yeah. I'm glad you liked the rigging, honestly. Like, I put so much work into it. I literally said, Ollie N wanted cheek puff. They didn't have that on their, you know, original 2D model. How do I do that? You know, there is this neat little thing called vBridger. So I ended up just, you know, I said, duck it, we ball. We're gonna do this. I've never done vBridger, but we're gonna do this. And I feel like I nailed it. I feel like I did. I might just be tooting my own horn here. But I feel like I did. Whoop. And I still need to fix myself over there. But yeah, we have Live2D up. We got Live2D. As you may recall, we were working on a pumpkin kitty. So we are actually gonna go ahead here. We're gonna open. I never actually use the new unless I'm doing like new animation, honestly. So we are opening up. Also, I'm gonna just make my life a little bit easier and pop out my chat so that I can see both sides. Cause I only had up just one of the chats at a time. It's a little annoying. I need to get a plugin to actually combine them on the back end so that like I can see a little bit easier. But yeah. Let's see. So once we have done open. Because as you can see, you can actually see my thing up there. Holy duck. We're going to actually go over to Pumpkin Kitty. We're loading in the PSD. Now you might recall we actually made these masks last time. Now the paper, I am literally just hitting delete. What we want to be doing here is we want to be super organized. So I will get to deformers and stuff probably later, either later this stream or probably Wednesday, more likely, because we're gonna spend today like mostly meshing and also organizing our parameters. Now, just for the sake of actually like helping y'all see what exactly I'm doing, I'm going to be just organizing what I have here. I will not be importing. A lot of times I like to import my parameters because it's just less work for me. So what we're going to do first is we're going to create folders. The first folder that I am creating is angles. Oh, that is parameter. I meant to put folder. There we go. Double click. Gonna call this angles. This is specifically for the head angles, guys. This is not for body angles. That's a separate thing. You'll see that down here. But we're also gonna do a folder called inputs. Because believe it or not, the angles are not going into angles. They're actually going to be going into inputs because we're not actually going to be rigging directly to the inputs. The inputs are basically like if you're looking up, you're looking down, you know, looking left, looking right. It is effectively what tells the program what should happen. Now, the reason we don't rig directly to the angles, chat, is because something happens if you do that, and it's not as fluid of a rig. You know, it's pretty stiff in comparison. If I actually open up my original model, I can actually demonstrate this live. Let me see if OBS will pick this up, but if I turn on the... Okay, so it does. You can see, compared to my actual, like... Okay, it's not right now. Studio mode. I hate when I have to fix the physics window. I always have to fix the physics window. So if you look here, you might notice that my actual model over here on the right is way more bouncy and fluid compared to my other model, which is very like stiff. It doesn't move very much, like compared to what I'm actually doing, you know? Like even when I'm not moving a whole lot, my model on the right moves way more. And that's because the model on the left does not have any physics, and it was rigged directly to the angles themselves. Literally to the actual angle, because fun fact chat, everything that you see except for like the eyes and the mouth, that is all physics. It is not actually rigged to the angles or anything like that. It is all done with physics. We call them augmented physics. And what that is it gives like a little bit of a bounce when you actually look in the directions. Like it doesn't actually like stop on the very edge of like the angles. So this is why we don't rig directly to the angles. And anyone over on the YouTube side may recognize this model because I used it way more over there. Until, you know, I got my footing on the Twitch. But yeah, this is why we don't rig directly to the angles. It's not It's not very fluid. It's not very bouncy. It's not very fun. Give me just a moment, chat. Give me just a moment. I mean, that's fantastic, but, oh, hey, a shrine. Oh, no, because I lost the Lizalfo stuff. I forgot that I had the Lionel bow. So I sent literally 5. Okay, we're back. Sorry, I had a brief interruption at my door. Because I do share the room, unfortunately. That is adult living in the United States at this point. Yeah, you have to share rooms and share bills and stuff. So yeah. So back to the actual task here. We are not saving that. I did not even really edit it. So that is the reason we do not rig directly to the angles, chat. So inputs are like the angle Z, X, and Y, which I am going to reorder that because that will bother my brain. Angles are going to actually be made by us. Create folder. We're going to make this folder the eyes. So anything eye related is going to go in here. So I'm just going to toss these in. I'm going to open this up just to see what's in here. Oh, that is not what I want to do. There we go. There we go. Then we're going to do another folder. Browse. And once again, we're just kind of tossing this in there. Now, that is Y. Where the ducted brow LY go? Huh. Oh, it's right there. I just accidentally put the folder below it. Okay. So we want the Y's. I don't ever really use the X at all, so we're just gonna delete this. I also don't even really use the angle. I only use the form and the Y. If y'all use the angle or the X for brow, let me know and let me know exactly what you do with it, because I don't know what to do with it. And I don't know anyone in particular who uses it, so it's like, you know. So, this parameter right here, cheek, I like to rename it. I like to rename it because it's not really, cheek doesn't make much sense when you're talking in English, but maybe in Japanese it makes more sense. Basically, it's what you use if you want to make blush appear when you smile. Good bot, Siri. Good bot. You're a very good bot, Siri. So I changed this. Good morning, Hyde, and it was good to see you at the debut too. I hope you're doing well this morning. I'm just doing a bit of setup for the Live2D. So I'm renaming the cheek parameter to param smile because it's what happens when you actually smile, like when the blush shows up and stuff. I like to be a little bit careful with that though, because sometimes it just makes you blush constantly, and that's no bueno. You don't need to be blushing all the time like your pants just got dropped or something. Been alright, can't complain, but gonna anyways. How you been? I mean, I dealt with a health hazard this week. Now I have access to my bedroom again and I can stream. I did not get some of my problems fixed because of that, because I was spending all the time trying to do the showcase stuff for Allie and Musi. Because I gotta finish that and post that too. I'm gonna actually be posting those on my channel when I get them done. I have to do the footage, and then Otaku Dan TV is gonna be doing the editing. we realized that the green screen is not gonna work, so I have to re-record everything. And I also have to specifically borrow my roommate's iPhone because I don't actually use an iPhone for tracking. The new model is amazing. You'd go, aw, thank you. If I could blush, I would. I don't have that on this model, though. I need to add it on my next model, though. I could add it to this model, but, let's just say, I don't even know who rigged this model. I don't know, I know I said that I rigged it, but, like, I don't know who actually rigged this model. It is a ducking mess in the file. I can't tell what anything is. I tried to go back in there to add hard eyes and swirly eyes, and I was like, what did I do? Who rigged this? Because I don't know what I was doing. There was a post on Twitter, on Twitter the other day, asking Live2D animators, what do you wish that you knew when you first started? I said, chat, hierarchy. Ducking hierarchy, because there ain't nothing like going back to a rig that you did and going, who rigged this? It is so disorganized, I can't tell what goes where. So this is why this stream is basically just organization. It's getting your ducking stuff into place so that it actually works for the rig. Because let me tell you, Ali N's rig taught me so much. It taught me so ducking much. I needed to have organization in order to be able to pull off what I did. Me going back to Gunplayville a few years ago, LMAO, who built this kit? Pretty much. It's that same vibe, that same energy, you know? So that's why we're doing this stream, where I'm showing, this is how I do this. Also, we save our work here. We always save our work. Every like 10 minutes or so, because if we don't, we lose everything, including our sanity. So, because we already started organizing stuff, so we're gonna go ahead now and do the mouth folder. What that mouth do though? The V-Bridger was amazing, honestly. I didn't think I could pull it off, but I was like, you know, Ali had mentioned wanting cheek puff way back. I don't know how to add cheek puff. I should just do V-Bridger because that has cheek puff. So then, you know, V-Bridger happened. They didn't even realize I was doing V-Bridger until I was like mostly done. I was like, ta-da! And it was definitely worth it. That is for sure. I learned a lot. So I'm gonna go ahead and put smile and mouth because that just goes back to, it makes you blush, basically, if you have blush. Like, you have to actually rig it, mind you. Like, I tend to make it, like, from 50% onward or even further up because it can be a little bit sensitive. Let's see here. Now, the other stuff. Let me go ahead and collapse these. As I mentioned before, inputs, which are what is tracked by Live2D, goes into the inputs folder. Breathe is its own thing. Hair, we're just gonna delete this. We don't have to worry about hair. Oh, thank you, Hyde. I really appreciate it because I put so many hours into that thing. I was like, Ali, can I be experimental with your model? And that's just what happened, you know? Good morning, Villain. Good morning, good morning. It's a Live2D morning where I'm showing people how I set stuff up. Yeah, we did a little bit of experimenting, you know? Oh, I have been pinned. Or rotated, I forget which one that is. I hope you're doing well this morning. Yes, pinning. I got pinned. So, I also like to actually color the labels because it just makes it easier to see. Because right now I'm just looking at a blob of gray. I need high contrast colors here. Well, that's good to know, Villain. It's good to see you too. I hadn't seen you in a hot minute, and part of that was because my room was on fire, figuratively speaking. At least it made my nose on fire. We had a little bit of a health hazard, but it has since been resolved. I can now breathe clearer. Good morning, Zyrite. I guess my stream is a Pokestop now. Well, good morning, my resident chef and cat. Gotta say, I think my favorite detail for her has to be the liquid in the vase glowing and sloshing around when she moves. Yeah, it's kind of funny. The liquid doesn't actually glow, but because of the coloring, it looks very like neon fluorescent, and I love it. I had fun making the slosh though. That was fantastic. But Model Mama did a really good job on like the art for Allie. It was just so much better. It like better than I could have ever done, honestly. And I felt honestly privileged to work on that art. I was like, I have to do the art justice, you know. Oh, it's a exclamation point Poke Shop. Exclamation point Poke Shop. If I remember correctly. I want to say. And thank you for the hydrate, Villain. I appreciate it. I have water. I've been mostly drinking water. Sometimes I drink soda, but mostly water. It's a habit I picked up from when I had less fun stuff to drink in the house. And I'm trying to leave most of the soda for Zyrite because I know the caffeine makes brain go vroom. And coffee is a lot of work. Water, you mean that thing you put in the freezer get cold to put in coffee, right? Man, I could really use coffee, but you know what? I will have that probably later today. I know it sounds like a bad idea, but I have ADHD, so it's not as bad of an idea. So, I'm also going to now make some new folders and new parameters for said folders because I want to, you know, give this more life than just the basics. So, over in the angles, we're going to go ahead and create a parameter. I'm going to call this aug, like augmented, angle, x, aug underscore angle underscore x. And I'm going to make this set to -30 for the minimum and a maximum of 30 for that angle. Now, the reason why I'm saying this aloud is because you can't really see it very well. Display operation, I don't know if this will show up. I'm gonna see if it does. Good morning, Dazzle. Good morning, good morning. I guess it doesn't show up. Oh well. If I was doing a screen recording, it would. I actually probably could just turn it into screen recording because that might be a little bit better. I don't typically do that because it Ah! Thank you for that, Zyrite. Thank you for that. At least we know tits works. Yeah, caffeine very good, Hyde. We like caffeine here. Yeah, I'm an EP Duck too, Dazzle. I was up pretty late because I was like, I was so excited. I was talking with randos. I was encouraging other people to Live2D. I was like, if you want to Live2D, you should do it. It's not as hard as it seems. I'm even doing like a little mini series if you want to follow along with how to do a simple rig, you know? Because this is not going to be the same complexity of Alien's model. Like, holy duck, that model is just something else. Kitty will be fun when it's up in the shop and just in time for fall. Yeah! I want to be actually adding this. This is going to be a joint little project because I already did the art, as you can see. And so we're going to be splitting any funds that we get from the shop for it. I figure we could price it somewhere like 20 bucks or something, have like a nice little TTS mascot or whatever for Halloween. Or if you want to use it as a regular model, because I'm going to make sure there's plenty of stuff to play with. But for the most part, it is very much, you know, just a silly little thing. Yeah. Yeah, and you always say pop, I always say soda. Even though I'm from the same state. Originally, anyway. I spent way too much time in the South. Way too much time in the South. Let me go back. I'm trying to figure out what I'm looking at so I can actually do the thing I want to do. I'm actually going to turn off the Live2D stuff and then turn on the display capture, because what I'm going to do over here is just do this. This way you can see what I'm doing. The smugged unhinged machine outhouse access is going to destroy people. Yes, especially when Battle Nun happens. I am so excited. I already got to see a little bit of sneak peek of like the ruminations, the ponderings, if you will. Yeah, you totally could, Zyra. Honestly, you need to do more like posting and stuff. So to go go pop. I can't speak this morning. I feel like I'm dyslexic even though I'm not. I don't think I'm dyslexic anyway. Maybe. I really don't know. Sometimes I have trouble reading, but I was diagnosed late with autism and ADHD, so it could be possible, but I don't think so. Battle Nun, am I prepared? I can be strong. Yeah, you gotta set up your stream stuff. We also gotta get you a new PC at some point. It'll probably be a hand-me-down PC when I eventually get my upgrade. Eventually. Although I do need to fit this PC with Windows 11, even though it's not technically compatible. He says, all my pumpkins. Yee. So we are going to go ahead and replicate this. We're going to edit this. We're going to turn this into Aug Angle Y. We're going to replicate this. We're going to do Aug Angle Z. And now we are not going to be really moving this as much, so I like to reduce the amount over here. Something more like, not 16, 15. What the duck? 15. Now, for simplicity's sake, I'm also going to turn it into a blend shape, and you'll understand why later on in the rig. But primarily, it's because blend shapes, a little quick rundown on what blend shapes are. They combine very specific movements that you put into them with everything else, and you can limit it with something called blend shape weights. So if you don't want that specific like movement to happen on specific, you know, other movements happening, you can set that up. That's actually how I did all the ends walking. Just to give you like a little bit of a preview, because I am going to actually release a tutorial on this. I do kind of want to give you just a little bit of a preview since I have the display up right now. Also, I realized that on OBS, the display is a little bit weird. It's like oversized, so I'm gonna kind of like fix this. I just realized that. Let me go back over here. Studio mode. Up. Okay. Okay. Also, there is an exclamation point pokey catch if you want to try to catch the Doduo in chat over on Twitch. Let me go ahead back over here. So just to show you exactly what I mean. Okay. This right here is what makes Ollie N walk. Like these right here. However, they only activate under very specific circumstances. So in order for these to turn on, first game mode has to be turned on. And then you have to turn on whatever other thing that you want. Although, what is going on with... Oh. I need to fix that. That should not be there. I'll have to re-export this later. I have another issue I have to fix too. But that is besides the point. Those have now been fixed for that. I'm gonna... You saw nothing, chat? There was another problem I found while I was trying to set up the showcase. But yeah, the game mode, honestly, was because of a very specific, like, tweet. Like a Twitter post I saw of someone doing something similar. So this... Let me actually click off of here. This does not activate unless walk is on too. And walk is turned on by pressing the W key. So now you can see how this actually moves. This actually works, but only if that's turned on. If it's not, you see nothing happens. So that's how the blend shape weights work. This is all on an animation timeline. So, you know, that's how that works. It's using blend shape weights. Basically, if I go in here and I do like a select of everything that's on that parameter, and I go to limit settings for blend shape weights, then I can actually go to the, where is it, leg walk L, and these are all the ways that it stops it from moving or allows it to move. As you can see. So this is something I will go on, like, I'll go over in a tutorial because it's a little bit complex for this. So we're going to go ahead and close that. I'm also going to save this while I'm at it. Blend shapes are useful. Do not fear the blend shapes. Do not fear. So the angle Z is basically going to be like the head tilting. Whereas Y is going to be up and down. And X is going to be left and right. Now I know that I wiggle a lot because of the way that I rigged this model. But that's pretty much how it works. I fear nothing. You will be prepared for the battle, none. No, I just said you be prepared for the battle, none. So... the next thing is going to be obviously like the body. In this case, it's going to basically be like the pumpkin. So we're going to go ahead and create a folder. I'm going to kind of put it up here under the angles. Body. Now I know you saw me throw the body inputs up here, but that is once again because we do augmented angles here on this channel. To make this orange to kind of match. So I'm going to go ahead and replicate this just so I can drag it in here. And I'm going to edit this. I'm going to call this body. I'm going to call this body. All right. Going to replicate this. That way there's less typing to do. Y. Not Y2. And for the the body Y, what we're gonna do is we're gonna kind of rock the pumpkin a bit. Gonna end with it's gonna end me like Kaiba with Exodia. I already know it. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I am excited to rig that, honestly. It is going to be a fun time. Maybe not for my computer, but it will be a fun time. And then Z. So for Og Body Z, what that is going to be is basically the pumpkin rolling to the left and right. We are going to be absolutely expanding the canvas. And by expanding, I mean going past it. So we're turning that also into a blend shape for the same reason that we did the head angle as, you know, a blend shape. it just makes it so much easier because literally it's just going to be like on a rotation parameter. Or not parameter, deformer. This little doodad up here. They are not as scary as they seem. I promise you. So we got our parameters just about set up. I'm trying to think what else. Also, physics. We gotta make physics. We gotta make ourselves a physics folder. It's all scary. I know, Zyra. So I'm gonna go ahead here. Oh, first I'm gonna do an ear physics. Ear physics. Because I like doing ear physics. We're gonna be doing some stuff so that you actually have, like, we have more, like, movability with the ears. Similar to how I did my, my pixel model. Because if I actually go over here, let me find my footing here. Where are the duck? Maybe that'll help. Where are the duck? Why don't I have my corner? I feel like I should have a corner. Oh well. Anyway. I guess I'd never put that on here, but I digress. So, with this model, I do have cat ears, and you can see exactly what I mean here in a second. Yeah, okay. My ears react to my eyebrows. So if I lower them, raise them, I can basically do different things with my ears, you know. And I have kind of unique control over them. You know, it's hard to tell because I am using webcam, but they are individually controlled. If I, like, lower one eyebrow and then raise the other, it does the thing. But because my eyes and eyebrows are, like, synced because of... Otherwise, it's super scuffed with a webcam. That's yeah. That's why my eyebrows may not actually fit, like, visually match my ears. But that's how they work. So, back to Chibi Lucky. That's basically what we're gonna be doing with the cat ears here. We're gonna have them controlled through brow movement, even though we are not actually rigging brows. So, and come to think of it, I could actually probably rig that directly to the brows, but I kind of like the augmented rig just because it makes it a little bit more fluid, a little bit more bouncy, you know? So for ear physics, we're gonna create a parameter. I'm gonna do, I guess, like -10, +10. This is not really, how do you say, it's not a science. This can be done in a number of ways. This is just kind of how I come up with ear rigging. I've seen many tutorials. Some people do like -1, +1. And I'm like, I kind of like having a little bit finer control, and that's kind of the whole point of having, like, the higher number. So, for people who want to know, why do you pick those numbers? So, anything that's more detailed in movement, unless it's, like, a very specific thing, like eyebrow activation, you know, I like to do higher numbers because it just gives me more room to work with in the actual, like, keyforms and stuff. And it's a little bit easier to adjust when weird wonky things happen. All jokes aside, I'm hyper excited for Battle Nut Alley. You and Momo do. Aww. Yeah, and Model Momo too, because Model Momo's gonna be doing the art for it. It's gonna be great, and we were already discussing a bit, which I can't say a whole lot because I don't know how much I'm allowed to say, but I do think it's gonna happen sooner rather than later, considering what happened during debut. Y'all, Ren especially, but y'all are just absolutely ducking nuts. And honestly, I appreciate that for my friend. Ollie-Ann is a good person, a very good chaotic gremlin, and deserves all of the love and support. And I cannot wait to rig their next outfit, honestly. And not just because I love rigging, but also because they are. I feel like they're my friend at this point. Good morning, Einar. You're a secret. Let it hit me hard. I can take it. Good morning, Einar. Good morning. Good morning. I'm just showing people how I set stuff up. I'm gonna call this ear tip. X1. We're kind of winging the ear rig here because I don't rig ears very often. We have to make sure that that is underscore. Because there's gonna be multiple physics parameters for this. And actually, I think I might even make this a blend shape because it's just gonna be regular physics. Replicate. Edit. Already did saving points for crowd control. Yeah. Yeah, we're gonna have ear wiggles. At some point, I'm gonna actually go back to Ruby's model too and upgrade the ear rig on that because it does have ear wiggles, but it's not as prominent as I would like it to be. Not as prominent as I would like it to be. And I'm sure that they would like it to be more prominent too. Yeah, Allie deserves all the love and support because she's been very supportive. Oh, I bet. I bet. Yeah, at some point I'm gonna get my own fancy model. For now, I'm just using Chibi Lucky. Also my Pixel model, because that's fun. I for some reason or another, I really like the Pixel model. It has a special place in my heart. So does the Psyduck model. I need to actually finish the Psyduck model, because it's actually not finished. I want to do that sigh with like the hands on the head. I also kind of want to add like swirly eyes because that's kind of Psyduck's vibe. But then I also have to remove the lucky features like the hair and stuff because I'm going to be posting that for people to download for free. And I don't want people cosplaying as a Psyduck dressed as me. Or maybe that might be funny, but no. So for the ear tip, that's just gonna be like the top part up here. We do two so that it's a little bit more jiggly, a little bit more wiggly. Implying that would not be dope. A lucky Psyduck shiny, yeah. Yeah, I had fun with the Psyduck too, I'm not gonna lie. But doing color changing stuff was so weird. So the Y is going to basically be tied to going up and down. I'm probably going to do a Y1 and Y2. I didn't on previous models just because, you know, reasons. Lucky Psyducky cosplay. What? That is something hard. That sounds like a tongue twister hide. Oh, there's a wild mankey you can try to catch using exclamation point Poke Catch. We're gonna go ahead and replicate. We're gonna do Y2, but not Y2K. That's a whole thing. No. Basically, the whole point of this is that it can kind of slide up and down, and it's gonna determine the movement. Now, that's for the ear tips. We're also going to do the ear base. Oh, whoopsie. Edit. Ear base. X1. Because we don't have inner ear fluff to worry about in this case, so we're just gonna be doing like the base movements. X1. Doesn't roll off the tongue like puppy monkey baby. I mean, even that. Yeah, Y2K was a whole different scare if you were around for that. I'm showing my age, chat. I need to have a gray hair toggle. Back in my day, we had to live through Y2K. Get me like those little granny glasses to sit on the end of my bill. And then bounce them up and down whenever I move my bill around. Now, you don't really have to worry so much for the Y on the ear base, because we're looking at literally like the more bottom area of the ear for that. So that's good. Also, thank you for the hydrate. I will absolutely drink more water. Yeah, the really fun thing with V-Bridger, which at some point I want to experiment, chat. I want to experiment. Granny glasses and like the old man filter. You know, just sounding like an old man. Back in my day. I want to experiment with V-Bridger and see if I can't get it to work for a duckbill. But if I do that, it's going to be on my next model for myself. Because I really want to be able to do stuff like actually show visually when I'm drinking from a straw. Because that is just insane. Seeing Ollie be able to do that, I was like, drink through a straw. Drink through a straw, Ollie. Do it, 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 do it. Live2D is fun. I love Live2D. Now we have the ear physics. I also want to do a new folder and do whisker physics, because we're gonna do whisker instead of hair physics. It's whisker physics. Back in my day, the ducks had to swim the ponds uphill both ways in the winter, after a blizzard, and during a blizzard, and a typhoon. I don't know what you were testing, Zyrite. I don't know. Oh, because I clicked on the chat, it popped me over to OBS. That happens. That happens. So whisker physics. We're gonna do that as purple too. Ah. Yeah, I don't know what all the commands are. At some point, I gotta look in the Discord to find out. Don't want to spam some poor chat. Yeah, the commands on Discord I think are gonna be different from the commands for the actual extension. I actually need to join that Discord at some point. At some point, I don't know when. Probably when I'm not inundated with stuff and things. I've been doing a lot of work lately. Yeah, send me that link because I've been meaning to join it for a while. I joined the Uma Musume Discord. That's a whole fun thing. If you play Uma Musume, they have a Discord, and if you need good, like, veteran Umas, you can get them there. You can find whatever you need. You need dirt sparks? Go get them. You need, turf sparks, long sparks for Haru to win the Arima Kinen? Just go there. Get your veterans. So for whiskers, whisker X. Also for the ears, we are going to be separating them into L and R, but I'm going to do that later on in the rig because we're literally going to just copy the parameters and then like copy the stuff that we've rigged over because it's just going to make our lives easier. It's an optional thing, but I like doing it because it's just easier. You know? Because you can always change the parameter that something is mapped to, as long as you haven't, like, mapped something else to the parameter you're trying to change it to. And as long as the parameter type matches, like, you cannot, like, you saw I did the, augmented angles X and Y as keyforms, and then the, angle Z as a blend shape. You cannot take angle Z and then put it onto angle X and Y because it's a blend shape. You can only move blend shapes to blend shapes, and you can only move keyforms to keyforms. At some point, I need to actually make a cohesive tutorial. Like an actual cohesive tutorial where I'm not just rambling on a nearly empty stomach because I forgot to eat and forgot to do stuff. I'll be eating after stream though, don't worry, chat. X1. We're gonna call this whisker underscore x1. You may notice how I name stuff. I like to use the underscores because it's just easier. This is gonna be a blend shape. I love blend shapes. All my ducks love blend shapes. Oh, replicate this. X2. Because blend shapes are just easier. Now, these are kind of short, so we don't need to have, like, super, like, we don't need to have 3 X's or anything. 2 is enough. I'm sure if you ask any woman who's had a lot of messy breakups, she'd tell you. 2 X's is enough. So we're gonna go ahead here for Y. And we put them on their own parameters because they're all gonna be a little bit different in the physics. Also, ad break will be starting in about 5 minutes. I do have some stuff to eat, so I'll probably, when we go to BRB, just spend 3 minutes wolfing down some snacky. And then, of course, you know, we'll continue after the break. I know that the YouTube side doesn't really have that because I am not monetized. And that is okay. I neglected that child for that figurative child for many a month. I have to be clear here because we are not actually, you know, doing anything wrong. I am just terrible at keeping up with multiple things at once. I have ADHD, chat. Severe ADHD. ADH duck. Stuffing the... Oh my goodness, no. No eating duck. We do not eat duck here on this stream. That is sacrilege. You need to join the duck cult because we do not eat duck. Although duck cult does sound like a fun brand name. I realized I had to be a little bit specific. We are not hurting. No children have been harmed. YouTube or Twitch. Just figurative. If no eat duck, then why are they made of? No! Okay, we got the wizard physics set up. Alright, and then we gotta also do, like, the leaf physics. That's also gonna be a thing. I'm gonna create a folder. Make the label green to make it easier. We're gonna call this leaf physics. Create a parameter. Leaf physics x leaf underscore physics x. I'm gonna do x1. We'll do 2, just like with the other things. But we're only gonna do 1 y because we want it to be more of like a soft fall. Replicate. Replicate. And this one's gonna be y. Just y. We don't need y1. It's literally just gonna be y. Oh, y. Here we go. Okay. Because, I'm gonna put actually, just to make this easier, body pumpkin, because the parentheses don't actually pop up when you export the model and stuff, because the how do you say, because the labels on the folders don't actually get exported. So literally this is just for our own sanity. Holy duck. Have I actually been chatting for like an hour about random stuff and also just set up stuff for parameter? I guess I have. Okay then. We're also gonna have some paw physics here. That's gonna be another thing that we do. We're also gonna have eye physics. So I'm actually gonna go ahead and make a parameter here. Call it eye physics, put it with the eye. Make it the same color, so it's like an extension. I'm gonna go ahead and create a parameter. I jiggle X. I jiggle X. Of course, that also reminds me of like a whole Twitter debate that I had with someone who was being dumb. Gosh, talking about boob jiggle. It's not misogynistic to call it boob jiggle, okay? I have them. I'm allowed to say it. Because this is not a super complex model, we're just going to do I jiggle X and then I jiggle Y. And similarly, later on, we're going to turn this into L and R. That way they go with their appropriate eyes. But we will continue that after the break because it is now officially break time. We will be back in about 3 minutes. I mean, that's fantastic, but oh, hey, a shrine. Oh, no, because I lost the Lizalfo stuff. I forgot that I had the Lionel bow. So I sent literally 5 arrows. That was overkill. That was overkill to the poor Lizalfos. Oh, man. I died too, Karen. Let's find out what's in this shrine, shall we? Oh, man. Oh, man, oh, man. Wait, what? And, hi. You don't see me. Ah! You do not see me. I am definitely not wielding a giant orb above my head. If you don't see me, you can't attack me. Ah! Saving before I die again. Oh. Y'all just killed the goblin for me. Oh my ducking god. Oh, how many times is this? I think I think we've definitely passed 20 at this point. Who knows? Maybe I'll turn it into a TikTok just counting every time. Just a compilation. Oh, hey! Zap shrooms! I need some of those. Oh, no. Oh, no. Ah! Oh. What? 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 I don't remember a shrine being right here. When did this happen? I'm gonna go over here because if I remember right, there was a particular mushroom. Yep. Sunshroom. Well, that's the first death. Well, I should have expected that. Well, let's try this again. Let's try this again. No mushroom. That's what I get for being obsessed with mushrooms. Again? Okay, we are now back. Also, no hide, no! What do you mean roasted duck sounds? Oh darn, I didn't catch the Zualius or Zualis. I can't speak. I don't know words. English is my native language, but also I can't speak it. A veces pienso que hablo español mejor que inglés. Sometimes I feel like I speak Spanish better than English, even though I hardly ever speak Spanish. I speak it occasionally. Occasionally. Ooh. I just started eating the ramen I had, which was my snacky. And I realized, holy duck, my stomach was empty because I feel it now. Well, yeah. Okay, so back to what we were doing. Physics, we don't need this to be complicated. We're literally just gonna, like, initially rig it here and then move it to a duplicated one for the other side once we get there. Okay, so we got pretty much almost everything. We also need to do paw. Also, give me just a moment, chat. I realize it's kind of warm in here. Give me just a second. I apologize if you can hear the AC. I don't know if it's gonna... Okay. So what I was looking at here is I was like, okay, does the AC come through? Because I have a neat little thing. By the way, if you are a streamer, get yourself a noise gate. Do not use the noise suppression. You will thank me later. Noise suppression tends to just cut out anything that might sound like a squeak or like static and things like that, and you don't want that when, you know, you might accidentally sound like that. I mean, you could ask anyone who's been around for any kind of stream where I've just like squeaked or yelled or anything like that. That happens a lot when you game. I just realized this is getting to the warm part of the day. The warm part of the day, so I need to, you know, not be dying of heat stroke. Let me move that. I will note my setup is a little bit difficult because, like, the mic arm is in the way of, like, both my webcam and my keyboard. It is annoying, but I don't have a better arrangement right now until I can get a stronger mic arm that can actually, like, hold it up really high and, like, hover it above me. But that's a later thing. That's a later thing. So, let's see here. Body, angles. So I'm actually going to create a new folder up here to kind of help with organization. And I'm actually going to kind of put this up here too. Actually, no, I'm going to keep this down here for now. This folder right here is going to be pause. And that's not what you do when you want to temporarily stop a video. No, like the actual pause here. I'm going to make them pink. Pause. Make it easier to see, you know? Get it? No, hide. No. Oh, I know. That's a little bright for me. Let me make it grayer. Yeah, that's better. That's a better shade. We're also gonna save because we need to make sure we save. Okay. So for the pause, create parameter. Paw. Fizz. X. Paw. Fizz. X. And then replicate that. Make a Y. I like to do a lot of my setup in the beginning because it just helps me be like more organized as I work. Because I can always add stuff later, but it's good to have like the skeleton in place. It's kind of like if you're trying to paint something, it's easier to get like the base shaping done first and then start putting in like the details and stuff versus trying to start from the get-go being detailed. It does not work. So I'm also going to do a paw wave parameter. And this will be for animation later to make like a cute little like waving animation. This was a suggestion from Zyrite, because we can actually make the paws wave. This will also be a blend shape. And we're also going to create a parameter called paw wave on. Paw wave on. Now you might remember how I was telling you guys earlier about how for switches I like to just do like 0 to 1. It just makes things easier. And you might also remember how I was talking about blend shape wave. Ah! Thank you for that, Zyrite. Thank you. You might recall I mentioned, you know, how I use blend shape weights planning for painting. What's that? But this is so that we can use this with blend shape weights. So we can turn the animation on and off with just a simple weight. That's all. It's that easy. He had to build back up to 6K before I could do it again. I feel ya. I mean, I know you're trying to save up for crowd control stuff later. At some point, I will be doing crowd control again. I would like to try repo with it. That will be chaos. That's just gonna be chaos of another breed. Another variety. Okay, trying to think if I'm missing anything. Chat, am I missing anything? I feel like we got just about everything that we actually need for the parameters. We're gonna save. I'll play that with you and a few of our friends. Yeah, I know. Corey's the one who bought me Repo. Corey's the one who gifted it to me, and I was just like shocked, and I feel bad that I haven't been able to play. Chaos nice. I mean, that's exactly what my channel started out as, okay? I know that like the YouTube channel was originally Twisted Wonderland. It was really it was just me doing like gacha and like the story, and you know, and then it devolved into me doing art stuff because I was like, you know, I want to do art. I want to do the art thing and show people that you can have Authentation and suck and still be a good artist. Never managed to get beyond level 5. I mean, who knows? Who knows? Maybe in a game near you we'll get there. But yeah, no, like the YouTube channel had started off as like just Twisted Wonderland, and then it turned into art, and then it's turned into Live2D, and I actually had tried to make it a joint channel like gaming and art stuff, but that YouTube did not like that. The algorithm was like, hey, here's some new subscribers, but also you're losing some. And I was like, oh, I guess I'll just go be sad in a corner. I was gonna say a different word, and I was like, wait. I might get a bonk for that. I'm die. Thank you forever. So the next order of business is getting everything kind of meshed out. Some things you don't really need to be super detailed with. Other things you do. So, to kind of break down what you need to actually focus on when you're doing the Live2D stuff, if it's a simple shape, rule of thumb is you can pretty much just standard mesh it. You don't have to do anything crazy. Nothing crazy. So like here, this is the kitty body, okay? The way that this looks like is literally this. You know, it's a little bean. Little bean here. This is not complicated. So we can choose to either manual mesh or we can choose to just standard mesh or whatever. And I'm probably just gonna standard mesh. It is not complex. It does not need to be crazy. You know, it's literally just enough to make it, you know, move. On the outside, though, I am going to reduce the intervals, and the reason for that is so that it's a smoother deformation. So you can play around with this over here to actually get the kind of mesh you want. And that's also why I don't usually, like, go ham on manual meshing. I only use manual meshing when I have a very specific thing in mind. Which actually, a great, fantastic... I know I'm opening up all the ends again. Forgive me here. Forgive me. But I have to show you guys exactly what I mean. When you need super fine control over something. When you need super fine control over something. You might have recalled, if you actually, you know, if you were on the stream on Twitch yesterday... This is how I meshed this. Every single point is basically a point of control. So everything in the collar area, I don't deform. I only deform these edges here. So what ends up happening, if I go down to like the physics stuff here, where the duck is it? Oh, wait. Here we go. So now with the deformer here, you can see I literally leave the middle alone for the frill movement. I leave the middle alone. And then this is like an additional like X. So like anytime like it's super far over, it does that. And then it comes back like this, deforms like that. That's how blend shapes work, right? You literally make the stuff that you're trying to do like directionally and physically. And then the up and down frills, so like when, you know, you do this. So that's exactly what I mean when I say if you need fine control over something and you don't want to move specific parts of a thing, or if you want to have something stick better, manual meshing is the way to go. The same thing for the staff. If I could find the ducking staff. I have so many. This is why we organize, chat. So like here for the roses, like the big flowers here. Once again, and you can actually see physically how I move these dots. You can see how I got the effect that I did. I had to literally go through and effectively line everything so that I could have fine control over that. I did another similar thing for like the leaves. I also put that on the same thing as the rose. Just a little bit easier. And this way is how I was able to make it look like something that was a lot more complex than it actually was. So that's why we manual mesh when we do manual mesh. Auto meshing, though, is perfectly fine if you have simple, like, shapes and stuff. If you're not trying to deform it too much, you can just auto mesh. So, like, for the pumpkin mane here, I can literally just do standard. And that is totally okay. If I want to later on go back and, like, more accurately deform this, I can. You can go into a rig that's already half done and like redo the meshing manually if you want to. I recommend that in some cases, like where you see, okay, this isn't working. This is not deforming the way I want it to. I do that sometimes, honestly. So for the leaves here, the leaves, I'm thinking if I want to do a manual mesh or not. I almost feel like I do, because then I have a little bit finer control over how they move. So the way that we manual mesh, at least the way that I manual mesh, you can do like the dot, like literally just doing dot by dot. But you can also use this little neat tool that I learned how to use when I was learning VBridger. So if you want to make this do stuff for you, like that is a 2 vertice mesh. I don't really like 2 vertice meshes very much. So we're just gonna we're gonna undo that. We're gonna do a 1 vertice mesh, and we're gonna kind of like outline this a bit. So let me see if I like that density. Okay, that density is not quite what I want. So we want to actually bring this down so it's a much finer density. And what I mean by that is now you see there's a lot more dots. Okay, so also you can fix that post thingy. So I'm gonna just do this. We're gonna dispose of that. We're gonna come back here. So I'm gonna very carefully like doop. Okay, that was just annoying. The whole like getting in my way. So I'm gonna do this again. Hopefully without, oh my ducking god. Well, I guess I can fix it in post. Because after you do the, like, meshing here, which, by the way, this is a really nice leaf, Zyrite. You did really good on the leaf shape. I ducking suck at organic things. Okay, so here is where we can actually start to, like, move things over and do what we want. So you can see here, it tried its best. It really tried its best. We're gonna bring the density like way down here. Just gonna kind of use this to effectively trace over. Anytime you click into the line, it's gonna make like this little dot, and that dot's gonna go wherever you want it to go. And so this helps you to kind of go through your meshing a little bit faster. I wish I had known about this. Thank you for the hydrate, hide. I appreciate that. I will stretch. Okay, let me just stand up. Oh. Okay, I have hydrated, I have stretched. I have stretched. Gonna go ahead over here. Gonna kind of effectively turn this into a tracing. Whenever you manual mesh, that's generally what I do, is I effectively make it like a tracing. So now we can kind of bring this out over here, following the lines, putting that up here, putting this down here. And then if we kind of come to the other side and fix this. So now we gotta fix this side. I will note that discovering this little like auto like line tool, which is apparently in beta, mind you, so it may be a little bit jank. Learning that this was a thing was a ducking lifesaver. Like learning about it, you know, I wish I had known about it earlier. But you know, that's actually one of the reasons why I always say, like, you know, if you commission me and I'm working on your model, I'm probably gonna ask if I can do experiments on it. Because I will absolutely use it as a learning tool. to get better, but also hopefully provide you with a better rig in general. So this one I could put here. We can kind of come in like this. Boop. Boop. Come in here. Bring that down. You gotta head out. You have a nice day and rest your stream. If I hadn't said it enough, your work is amazing. I look forward to seeing the battle run. I disappear for a few months, you'll know. No problem, Hyde. And I really appreciate it. I'm really happy that people liked the rig. I am very proud of it, honestly. I didn't think I could do it. I looked at it yesterday, like, you know, post-mortem, and was like, did I actually rig that? I feel like it was a dream. But I feel at this point, I'm pretty confident with the software. So I actually feel liberated to, like, give advice on how to, like, use it effectively. Which is why we're here this morning. But yeah, do what you gotta do. Now, I've never done this before, so we're about to find out in real time, chat. What happens if I go to 3? Holy duck. Let's, bring that down a good bit. And the reason why 3 is specifically because, it makes my life easier because then I don't have to go around the outside. Oh. Oh. I was making sure it worked because the lag on my side is a lot. I've been rotated, I see. Hello again, villain. So we're gonna actually bring that back to a 1, and I'm actually going to kind of bring this back. Let me see if I can actually bump this up to a 3. Let me look at this. Oh, this is a mess. This is gonna stay at a 1. We will just, you know, we will manually adjust what is going on here. First of all, I'm gonna kind of move this up a little bit. And then I'm gonna connect that. So now you're gonna see that everything inside is doing this, but we are not done yet because we actually need to go around the outside to make sure that nothing gets cut off. And I don't mean like that, but more like the outside of the line here will get cut off if we do not make sure that it is appropriately covered, if you will. And the way that we do this is just a very simple, you know, going back around. Actually, why am I even doing that? You know, I could honestly just... I could just do the same thing over. Just without being super close to the creases here. I think I'm also going to kind of move this over. I think I originally had made that so far over because Alien had like a lot of stuff going on with the deformers, because this is where all the deformers go. At least on my end, I may have a different layout than you. I don't know if they changed the default layout, because I think my layout is about what the default is. I can't remember. I might have moved the inspector. I feel like the inspector might have been over here at some point. Oh, thank you for the follow, Roll. I appreciate that. Hello there, Rubber Duck. Hello to you. I mean, I'm actually more of a mallard, but yeah, I am a duck. I'm a silly little duck, an odd internet duck, as I like to say. And I do Live2D. I do lots of Live2D. Especially on this channel. So we're gonna kind of just do a rough approximation around this so that none of the line gets cut off. But we absolutely want the control on this because it's gonna be a little bit easier when we're trying to make the leaf do leaf things. Okay, this is a little rough. But we can just come in here and do exactly what we just did. We can literally just pinch and pull it where we need to. It makes life so much easier than going through and manually doing it. I cannot believe that on Olien's model, for like the staff and stuff, I literally went dot by dot by dot. It took me a few hours actually to do the staff. I'm not even gonna sugarcoat it. It took me a grand few hours, and I was like, my computer hates me right now because of all the dots. So over here, we're actually not going to really go in here. We are just going to kind of clip it here, but we are still going to kind of push this out a bit. We're going to kind of bring that up, bring that up, bring this down a little, bring this really down, bring that out. Doesn't have to be perfect, but it does need to be an approximation of what the original mesh is, just so that there's no weird warpy stuff going on. No weird warpy stuff. And of course, because this like crossed over that, it like thought for a moment that I wanted to delete that. I was like, no, we're not deleting that. We're not deleting that, I swear. But we have super fine control with this. I am a pleased duck. I do hope, though, that people can see the kind of stuff I come up with. Because I realize that once you understand Live2D, and this is also why I encourage artists to use it, by the way. Once you actually understand Live2D, like really, really understand it, chat, you can do just about anything with it. You can even, like, make flames. You can make wings flap. You can like do all kinds of. I literally made a model walk when you push the ducking W key. Okay, you know there's so much you can do with it, as long as you're like able to process information to a degree. Like if you are an artist, I highly recommend learning. I know that you're probably here because you're an artist or you really like my stuff, but like. I encourage it. Even if you can't draw, though. Even if you cannot draw, okay? Or draw well, I should elaborate, because everyone can draw. I don't care what AI bros say, everyone can draw. But even if you can't draw well, you can do Live2D, okay? Yeah, flames and lightning. I'm pretty sure, I have a secret project I can't really talk a whole lot about, but I do have a little secret project, that I'm actually doing in my personal life. And, also there's a wild fracture in chat you could try to catch using !PokeCatch on the, Twitch side of things. But there's like a little secret project I'm working on that I can't really talk about, unfortunately. But I can say it does involve fire, and I look forward to rigging those flames. Like, actually excited to do that. I am hyped for it, and, you know, maybe after I, like, do it, I might even make, like, a flame rigging tutorial. I know there's some out there already, but just like with my own style, because everyone rigs a little bit different. Like, once you learn how to do certain things, you're gonna do things your way. Like, as an example, how I specifically do augmented physics. Augmented physics are way bouncier and nicer to look at than just rigging to the angles. It's not my cup of tea. That's not my cup of tea. I like my augmented physics. I like my augmented physics, chat. And you were forever stuck with them as long as you were here. So I will note you do not, and I repeat, this is super important, chat. You do not need to connect every ducking dot you see. Okay, I know that it's easy to go, but all the lines, it says it wants to connect. No, chat. You want to use the dots as your control. Okay? Just trust me on this. Trust me, bro. I'm gonna kind of move that out here. And then over here, I'm gonna kind of bring this to a little bit of a point. And then I'm actually gonna go ahead and just do a little thingamadoo here. I'll just move that a little bit more centered. So now, if we actually go back to, like, we're not done with this yet, but I'm gonna show you something. Now if we go back here, this is still intact, okay? We want this intact. We do not want this not intact. So the reason why we do have to still add a few more control points is because right now, if we try to deform it, we're gonna run into this issue where things may overlap in ways we don't want. So we have to tell the computer after we save, because we always save here on the stream. I need to have like my Mallard moderator or Mallard 3000 tell me to save, because sometimes I do forget to save, or maybe even do what Dan did and just have a routine that says remember to save. You gotta make sure that you have at least like the quote-unquote bones, because otherwise it, like, for example, if this dot moves, it may like affect this dot over here. We don't want that. So first of all, bam, we now have a line that separates. Although I am a little bit concerned about this. This does not give me much hope. So what we're gonna do is we're actually gonna come here. We're gonna make a few more dots along this line. Because now you can see that actually looks more appropriate to how it should be deforming. Because we don't want things cutting through other things. It's just not gonna look good. So we're gonna kind of start to bring this back. This is also how I like to do head skin whenever I'm doing that kind of thing. So now, come back here. We're gonna kind of do a similar thing over here. And now you can see this is less chaotic than it was with these lines, because these lines that are here, they don't actually exist yet, but they indicate how it's going to deform. So you generally don't want things to do weird warpy shit, as the art gun once said. So we're gonna come back through here and we're gonna keep doing this and just make sure that things do not do weird warpy shit. Now we can come back up here. I see we got this quote-unquote bone right here that we can kind of flush out. Yeah, we don't even necessarily need to go all the way to the end. Just enough where all of the ends want to actually connect there. That way they warp appropriately. And then we're gonna come back up here. And just do the same kind of thing, you know? Although I don't know if I want it to go quite there. I think I'm gonna go more like this. Yeah. A little bit more like that. It's not perfect, but it does not need to be. So now things will actually like warp between these points. And it should warp more appropriately. So if we want to make it look like it's folding upwards, we can. Now, you might be wondering, but Lucky, now you have another leaf. Well, If my calculations are correct, it's roughly the same shape as this other one. So we can actually come in here and we can use the cursor tool. Literally Control C, like you saw that pop up. This is why I'm doing the desktop like view here. Now that we've copied it, we can go over to the big leaf. We go into our manual mesh, we delete these. And now we can do that. Now you might be wondering, but that's not the same size or like direction, and that is okay. We're going to do a Control Shift Alt and drag. Now we can actually fit the mesh in once we figure it out. Okay, it's a little bit too big. Looks like it's a wee bit too big. So we're gonna Control Shift. We're gonna make it a little bit smaller. Kind of get a rough approximation of where things were. As I say, chat, work smarter, not harder. You do not need to, like, kill yourself over this stuff. This is not bad. You can literally copy your stuff. It is not a big deal. And it looks like just about everything is looking about as intended. Maybe just a wee bit off. There we go. I feel maybe a little off. I think that's better. Yeah. So that is how we just literally did a second mesh in like 5 seconds. And that's also manual right there. So, once again, does not have to be rocket science. It can absolutely work just fine. So what we're going to do next is the vine. Let's take a look at this. If you hit solo, I have not gone into solo yet to show you, but you can either hit this button or if you like to, you can hit just the S, literally, like when you have something selected. Just hitting the S on its own, you can flip between, and this is really useful if you're trying to do something like, I don't know, make a tongue look 3D when you're sticking it out and you need to see the deformer and the art mesh and also other things in the mouth. It's super useful. Super useful. So we could see that this is kind of a simple like art shape, so we don't even need to go that crazy. Yeah, we're gonna do this. We're actually gonna use this thingy after we delete these unnecessary vertices. We're going to do 3 vertices in the mesh. We're actually gonna widen the mesh a bit. Let me see how that's looking. Okay, the density is bad. Let's widen this up a little bit. Okay, so we're gonna dispose of that. And we're gonna kind of just do one of these. Manual meshing does not need to be rocket science. It is okay. You can literally just come in here and help the computer help you. I am gonna increase the repeated density so it's not so crunchy. We don't want it to be crunchy. I know it's a vine, but we don't want crunchy. Oof. Let me, see if I can't figure this out over here. Okay. So I'm probably gonna have to... Z. Control Z. Crunchy is the best for... Exactly. You know, you eat crunchy cereal, you don't want to eat a crunchy mesh. We're gonna kind of adjust this a little bit, but we'll do that after we have gotten the bulk of this in place, because this is just gonna make our lives easier. We don't gotta be complicated for it. But I don't want to do a regular standard mesh, even though there's not a ton of deformation, because we don't want things to weirdly warp. Repeated density, let's... And this is a nice way of doing it without having to, like, kill yourself over it. You don't have to cry on your keyboard going, why did I ever choose this life? Because you have to choose the Live2D life. It does not choose you. I say this as someone who does Live2D. At first, I was not ready for it. I was like, no, I cannot. I am not meant to be a rigging artist. But then, you know, I had an epiphany and things clicked. So we're going to confirm that stroke. We're going to kind of adjust some things so that this isn't so quanchy. I'm going to kind of line this up a little bit closer to where I want it to be. We kind of... We're a little bit off track because of the way the generation works, but it's okay. Like, we need more dots around here. It's not perfect, but it's a lot better than, you know, crying, trying to make it look good. You can save your fancy topology for 3D. And in 2D, you just gotta make it work. That is it. It does not need to be insane or crazy or anything. So around more curves, you're gonna have more dots. That way you can actually, like, move it properly. When you're trying to do more tendrily like things. Like if your model has tentacles. And I don't mean tentacle porn, I swear. But just like, you know, Zyrite is a great example. Zyrite had tentacles on her first, like, character model that she made. So, perfect example. If you have tendrils or tentacles, making sure you have more points around the curves is good. Making that a little bit cleaner. Again, does not need to be perfect. If you want to be perfect, you can, like, straight up manual mesh the entire thing. We are not looking for perfection here. We are looking for good enough to be a mascot. And it's something that you will understand as you do more Live2D. It's not something that you understand right away. Like, more detailed mesh does not necessarily mean better. If anything, it can make the model unnecessarily bulky and bloated. And fun fact about when I was rigging Olien's model. When I was rigging Olien's model, I had this itty-bitty issue where I didn't know how glue worked. Also, there's a wild applin in chat on the Twitch side. You could try to catch it using !PokeCatch. But I tried to, before I learned how to use glue properly, I just straight up tried to use deformers. Yeah, there's a little bit of a lag. I tried to use deformers in order to, like, make the opposite motion with the hood work. And what ended up happening was a keyform nightmare. Because of all the extra keyforms and stuff, every edit I was trying to do was taking, no joke, at least 30 seconds to register. And it was all because I was trying to do too much. Because I was afraid of learning glue. But when you have so many points as it is on a mesh and you're trying to, like, key it to so many things, you end up with just an absolute wreck performance-wise. So I actually scrapped all the work that I had done on the hood. And when I had done, like, V-Bridger and stuff, I just redid it with glue. Glue is your friend. Glue is scary, but glue is your friend. I recommend glue. Just don't eat the glue. Even if you're using it for the tongue, do not eat the glue. So yeah, this is looking like a pretty good mesh. I kind of want like a few more dots like around here, I would say, to kind of bend this outwards. Because again, this goes back to how do you want it to deform, right? If you want more bendy, you have to have a little bit more dotty. Okay, la-di-dotty. Okie dokie. I think that's a lot smoother. I am gonna kind of put this dot like up here, move this over here, move that. Try not to get too detailed, chat. Just detailed enough for this so that we can actually make it like do the wiggly thing. So now we got that part done. Save. Yeah, you got at least a few stars. I love stream avatars. It is a fantastic thing. It's silly. I love it. I do need to actually learn how to like really use it though, because you can actually do things like battles and stuff on it. Like a whole looking game. Also, I'm gonna get a little bit of water. Because I can. Now, probably after I finish this little mini-series, I might just go through and condense some of this into like a more cohesive, like shorter tutorial. But for people who are here now, you are here. Now, the shadows, we do not need to go quite as detailed as we did with the leaves, because they're shadows. There's no detail to them, so if they warp weird, we're not going to have to worry. So, let me actually just go ahead and auto mesh these. It's mostly like, okay, maybe we have to, okay, that is weird. So, you know, we are gonna just do a very, very simple, extremely simple, manual mesh for this. We're not gonna go crazy though. We are not going crazy. I'm gonna also do model image because this is a little bit easier to see. So turns out this shape does not do well with auto meshing. Also, I'm glad that you're slightly awake, Dazul. I am glad that you were slightly awake. I am still a little bit out of it, but you know. So for this, I'm just gonna do a really rough like thing here. I'm not even gonna really do a whole lot of work with this. I'm just gonna do enough that the computer that is registering this does not go, hey, you want really weird wonky shapes that are not gonna work. Because if they overlap with each other during the deformation process, they will absolutely look like they've been chopped off. We don't want that. We do not. We do not need like that going on. And because this is a shadow, we don't really need to go through and like reline the inside. But if you really want to like do that, you can do a Control-C after you have pasted. Like you do that and then you just come in here, like Control. Yeah, now you can kind of see how this can kind of work. I should have really just done the inside, honestly. But you know what? I don't even know that I want that there. I should have just done it on the inside, but it's fine. I'm just gonna do one of these. Slightly shrink it so it gets closer. Oh, wait. Oh, delete those. I want the original one. There we go. Kind of move that in a little closer. And then just kind of... Because with this kind of thing, you don't need it to be complicated. It's just a ducking shadow. It is just a ducking shadow. think that that is good enough. And then I can copy this. And we're going to do to the big leaf shadow exactly what we did earlier. So we're going to come in here. Erase those. Control V this. We're going to kind of move this into place. Control Shift Alt. Kind of resize it. Make this kind of match up with what we got. Now chat, if you don't do this and like for example, if you don't actually go out to the edges, what ends up happening, as you can see, nothing on the outside of that shows. So that is why we have to actually like go all the way out. So we're just gonna once again kind of make it a little bit bigger. Just a wee bit. And then we're gonna click off of that so that we can kind of do this. But now with the edges covered, we come over here. It's actually showing correctly. We're gonna save this. Holy duck! It's been 2 hours. I still haven't even gotten to like the glue stuff. Oh man. Yeah, I'll probably leave the stream as like an uncut and then go back through and actually cut it and turn it into a more condensed VOD when I'm done for all of the streams that are going into this playlist. Because the idea is to help someone be able to, from start to finish, rig a mascot. That is the intention, that is the purpose here. Knowing when and why to do certain things. Like the pumpkin, that's just an auto mesh. We don't need anything crazy for that. The body is an auto mesh. The ears are a little bit more complicated. So if you have a model that, you know, has ears like this, you know, you have cat ears or bunny ears or literally any kind of ear. You're gonna want it broken down pretty well. Also, I realized I did not rename these because these were from when I was discussing with Zyrite, like the cutting and stuff. Yeah. So we're basically gonna go in here and I'm actually going to select both of these, the inner ear and then also the inner ear line. That is like this little thing right here. We are actually going to go ahead and mesh these both at the same time. There is a reason for this, and you will understand very shortly. So we are actually going to go ahead. We're going to kind of do one of these. We don't want to completely connect it because that's going to cause overlap, and we don't want overlap. Also, ads will be starting in about 2 minutes for the Twitch side. We do not have them on the YouTube side, so y'all get to enjoy some nice clippies. Unless YouTube just slaps ads in there for some reason. We're going to kind of get this lined up about right. So to prevent any problems when we were doing all the deformations and stuff, we're actually going to be gluing this edge. So if one moves, the other's going to be with it. Like that's just what's happening here. So I feel like this is almost right. I don't like the density being so high for the ear. I feel like that's a little bit more appropriate. You'll get a feel as you rig, like as you do more models than just one. You'll get a feel for like what actually will work for your meshing. Like I've seen people who post on the Live2D subreddit and they're like, why are my lips crunching? Why are my eyelashes crunching? And I'm like, okay, here's what you're gonna do. You're gonna make the mesh a little bit more, in theory it could. Remind me, Dazzle, there's someone who actually did a like pixel perfect meshing. And they had a trick for doing it. I have it saved somewhere in my Twitter bookmarks. But remind me later. I will send that to you because I think it would be super helpful. I'll see if I can't find it on break. But basically, there is kind of like a trick to doing pixels. I manual meshed my pixels for the most part, besides the ones I was like, I don't really care about, you know, it's just is whatever. Because I'm not really a pixel artist per se. Okay, that was not what I wanted to do. I wanted to poke it up here, but that's fine. There we go. That kind of adjusts it better. Yeah, I will send that over to you some point today, so that you can see, because it's a really cool trick. Because I was like, holy duck, did you seriously just mesh that manually? No. They apparently had like a trick that they used. So then we're gonna kind of come in over here. I also realized I kind of need to fix the this side. That's going up too high. But yeah, we will be right back after the break, because I know break's about to start for Twitch, so we will be back. I mean, that's fantastic, but oh hey, a shrine. Oh no, because I lost the Lizalfo stuff. I forgot that I had the Lionel bow. So I sent literally 5 arrows. That was overkill. That was overkill to the poor Lizalfos. Oh man. I died too, Karen. Let's find out what's in this shrine, shall we? Oh man. Oh man, oh man. Wait, what? And, hi. You don't see me. Ah! You do not see me. I am definitely not wielding a giant orb above my head. If you don't see me, you can't attack me. Ah! Saving before I die again. Oh. Y'all just killed the goblin for me. Oh my ducking god. Oh, how many times is this? I think I think we've definitely passed 20 at this point. Who knows? Maybe I'll turn it into a TikTok just counting every time. Just a compilation. Oh hey, zap shrooms. I need some of those. Oh no. Oh no. Ah! Oh. What? 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 I don't remember a shrine being right here. When did this happen? I'm gonna go over here because if I remember right, there was a particular mushroom. Yep. Sunshroom. Well, that's the first death. Okay, we are back. And yeah, I posted it in the Discord, Dazzle. So we got this confirmed. We're gonna kind of come in here and do a little bit of a rounded top. We're gonna come in here again. A little bit wonky, but that's fine. It does not need to be perfect. Just good enough for glue. Hello, Musy. Hello, good morning. Also, thank you too to showing up for Alien's debut. It's good to see you. I hope you're doing all right. I'm just kind of going through the whole motions of setting up Live2D stuff, so I can effectively, in my own way, try to help people learn Live2D. As I'm also doing this on the YouTube so that I can have the VODs there permanently, and eventually, when I have a chance, I plan to go back through and like edit out any fluff and turn it into a more condensed thing. Right now, we are doing the ears and glue. Glue is important. Very, very important. So... don't technically have to connect these. I'm just doing it. I will note if you are trying to move stuff around and like you have to be a little bit careful, because if you're trying to edit both meshes at the same time, as long as it's like gray, it like works and you're fine. We're doing this part first because what we're actually going to be doing is a neat little trick. Also, hello, Mr. Tomo. Good morning. Good to see you too. Good morning. Good morning. Yeah. I notice. Yeah. I've been doing Live2D, showing how I do it. Hopefully help people learn how to do it. I just finished a big rig. I don't mean a truck. Oh. Well, I'm glad it's a happy cry. Yeah, I'm doing the dual streaming because on account of I want to have the VODs up as like a mini series to help anyone who might be trying to go from start to finish rigging a mascot. And this is me showing basically how I do it. It's effectively the KISS method, you know? Keep it simple, students. So now we have all of this, right? We're actually gonna go ahead here, and we're gonna hit bind. I got a shiny, icy snow vivilla. Ooh! Nice. That sounds amazing. I still have never actually caught a shiny Pokemon without it being crowd control. Need to make a duck icon in Blender. I mean, that's up to you. That is up to you. So now we have these bound together. They are now partners. They will no longer, you know, go away. They will always be here for each other. That is glue. Also, we are going to go ahead here and actually gonna click on the outside area just so that I can kind of... Actually, no, there's not even really anything inside. Normally, I would do like a little extra something to like make this deform a little bit better. But because this is a flat color, we can actually just kind of leave it. So now, anytime we move, as you can see, this moves together. It is not going anywhere. This is forever bound because we have done stuff with glue. So we're gonna undo that. We're also gonna save because we save on this channel. Saving is not for, you know, people who want to lose their work. So because I am not someone who wants to lose my work, I save. Blizzard Mark is not hard, but as the bug doesn't spawn in the winter, it may. Yeah, I could see that. I could see that. It's kind of like trying to find a duck up north during the winter. You know, you might, but they usually fly south for the winter. Except this duck, I tend to stay kind of, you know, in the middle of the north. I'm not quite north, I'm not quite south. I'm somewhere in between, just like my accent, which is kind of weird. I actually have 2 accents. I know I'm pretty sure I've already told y'all before. I have 2 accents. I have a Midwestern accent and I have a Southern accent, and you'll all always hear my Southern accent. I have the 2 because I grew up in the Midwest, but then also ended up moving to the South. And then I realized when I was in the South that I said things a little bit weird. Like I said, wash. I'm gonna go wash the dishes. Gonna go wash my laundry. Sounds weird. There's no R in wash. That is very much a Midwestern thing. I have a weird mixed accent. Sometimes the Midwest comes out, but usually no. So we got this for the inner ear. We want to also do the outer ear. So once again, we kind of have selected both. And you want to make sure you select from the bottom up to the top, because if you don't, you end up with a really weird situation. Like, let me show you what I mean. So I just selected the outer ear line first. And now I'm going to select the outer ear color. And this is like what happens if you do it like that. You see how the color's like weirdly overlapping, right? So we do the color first and then the line, because whatever you select last shows up on top, so then it actually looks appropriate. So this is a different shaped mesh than the like other part. So what we want to do is we're actually going, let me see something real quick. Okay, so that's fully hidden. We don't have to worry about that. Okay. So we're gonna go ahead. We're meshing these together. This is particularly important. Actually gonna go ahead and I think, hold on. We're gonna cancel that really quickly because this is gonna bother me. Just moving that slightly over. Okay. Just slightly move that over. There you go. It was gonna bother me, I'm sorry. Okay, so actually, wait, no, I see exactly what was going on. Okay, so ignore that. We're gonna just go straight to the mesh, because I realize I think that there's like that might just be because of, yeah, might just be because of that. It's fine. It's fine. Okay, so what we're gonna do is we're actually gonna mesh this top part. We're gonna kind of come in through here like this. We're gonna bring the density down. Not quite like that, but kind of like that. Gonna bring this out a bit. And kind of widen the mesh. Now, if you hit, whoops, that's not what I wanted to do. I think it's, yeah, control and dragging on like the little points and stuff, you can actually define how thick or thin this thing is. I forgot about that in the Vine when I was doing that earlier. Would have been an important thing to kind of note here. But what we are doing is now with this, make it just a wee bit wider in general, like the general width. Now we're going to confirm that. Now you might have just remembered that we did glue on the other thing also, I'm gonna undo that. I just realized there's still a ducking dot there. There we go. So we're gonna highlight all of this. And we are going to go ahead and bind this now, because this actually matters now, because we're not working on the inner ear. We're gonna go to just here we go. Well, first I'm gonna do this. Now you see what happens if you don't mesh everything. I'm gonna go back into the outer ear here. Since we have show model image on, we can actually see it. If we were to go to show modeling, it would not show it because it was cut off. So we can now use these points to create the rest of the mesh here. But now the line is forever bound to the actual thing. That's also why I say, like, sometimes it's okay if you want to do like more separation, like more. With separation, more is more. Less is more when it comes to the actual rigging, but more is more when it comes to like figuring out how things should go together. So when in doubt, just leave it out. Make it separate. So we can actually kind of come in here and do the rest of our mesh. We're just going to kind of line this like so. Now the line doesn't need it, but the color does. So I'm actually going to go up here for this and then kind of come down. Line this because I want this to not cut off anything, even though it's not really gonna be seen because we have a line and we have other art covering it. We want to be able to like mostly see the full art mesh. I accidentally messed up when I was initially doing Olien's neck ribbons, like for the collar, and discovered that the edge of the line was cut off, and I was like, oh, that's no bueno. And I went back and I fixed it. So I'm gonna go ahead, come over here, just kind of do a rough thing. It's not a big deal because it's, you know, it's very much a solid flat color here. But for anyone who does not have a solid flat color, that is what that is for. Just in case there's any weird warpy shit that could happen. Also, I can't need to save to torture and yeah. Also, enjoy your food. Enjoy your food. Okay, so now we have that meshed out. And so now if the line moves, you can see why we do the glue. This is to make sure that there's never any like weird holes in like between the line and the art mesh. Because in this case, we don't want them to separate. Although glue can't. Is that right? There's a purloin. Is that right? There's a cat. Gosh darn it, every time I try to go over to the chat thingy, it does that thing. I'm like, why? But yeah, these are forever bound. Sometimes you may want the glue to separate, and so that's what compatibility is for. Compatibility is very important for that because you can make glue stick more or stick less depending on like what angle you're looking at. Like, for example, when I do the face angles and stuff, like when I did that for Musi, when I did that for, like, Olien, I used glue, and I used compatibility. So, like, the right glue would only work if I looked to the right, and then the left glue would only work if I looked to the left. And so it would never affect the other side, and it was basically perfect. Glue becomes very helpful. I actually did not think I'd ever be able to understand glue because it looks so confusing because you think, oh, I just bind things together and then it stays. No, there's a whole thing to it. So right now the default glue is, you know, yellow, which is kind of where we want it to be, because if one thing moves, we want the other to move with it. But you can also do things with like red glue to make sure it's just stuck there. So if the other mesh isn't moving, you're not moving it. I like the yellow for like regular glue like this. But that's pretty much how that works. Now this also comes over here to like the eye masks and stuff, because we got to do that too. We already kind of did the ear over here. We're ultimately going to end up copying it over here and then moving all of the rigging to a separate parameter we're going to make later by copying things. Copying things is super, super useful. Okay. It is super, super useful. But I at least want to get through like some of the glue and masking stuff. So you're probably wondering, Lucky, why is it that you have bright colored art layers overlaying looking like some kind of demon? So the reason for that, chat, the reason for that is we're actually we're gonna find the eyes. We're gonna find all the stuff in the eyes, and we are going to go ahead. We're gonna reverse mask these over the left inverted eye mask. Now what ends up happening, if we turn this invisible, we turn the opacity down to 0, right? As you can see, oh look, there's an eyelid under there. That's basically how that works. I don't know if Zara intended that to be an eyelid or not, but that's pretty much how it's gonna work. So the way we're gonna do this is we actually take this. I'm gonna have that like on the actually gonna go ahead and copy, paste. We're gonna have 2 of these. I'm gonna call this glue. Glue. So basically, in order to, you know, actually make this, you know, blink, I'm gonna want super fine control over it. So we're gonna rename this glue. And we're gonna come in here, we're gonna select both those, we're gonna mesh them both at the same time. And the way that we do this, oh, it's pretty cut and dry. We're gonna come in here, we're gonna just we actually want this to be cutting off the color, and the reason for that is because we want this to cover anything that we can see the vertices is over. So that is actually why we actually want this to kind of cut off the edges here. I'm gonna kind of move that down a little. This is to ensure that nothing peeks out. I'm just gonna add a few of these. I'm not doing anything crazy. We are literally just adding a few so that when we do the center, we don't run into problems with deformation. I mean, it's not really like it's gonna affect a whole lot, but it's a habit at this point. So we are meshing both of these together, and the reason why we're doing this instead of like copying over is because sometimes it gets a little bit misaligned, and we don't want any misalignment when we are doing this. So we are literally going to come around and carefully cut out the eye. Like, we are super carefully cutting out the eye. And you'll understand shortly what exactly I mean when I say, like, this is kind of a really cool and easy way to make things work. Now, I know, like, a lot of times you would typically, like, clip things to the layer below. And that can be great, that can be fine, that can be dandy, but when you have Live2D, layer clipping does not work the same. Okay, if you, for example, have your teeth clipped to the inside of your mouth, you're gonna run into this little problem where maybe it's clipped also to something else, and maybe that something else is showing. And suddenly you'll have really weird, like, things where it's poking out of where it should be clipping. I had that originally happening on my original model because I didn't know how clipping worked. And so I just ended up merging my pupil to my iris and the highlight to the pupil and iris and called it a day. Not my best moment in Live2D. But what ultimately ends up happening, like, if you try to clip the pupil to the iris and the iris to the sclera, and you think, oh, it's only gonna show when, like, the iris is there, but maybe, like, when your eyes are closed, it's, like, outside of, like, where the eyelid skin is, because you don't know what inverse masking is. And so then you just end up with pupil sticking out from your eyelid like an eldritch being. And maybe you are an eldritch being, and maybe that's okay, but most people I know would not want that. Now, here we are using a lot of dots, and the reason for that is because this is going to be crunched. Okay, chat, this is gonna be super crunchy. This is like cereal, okay? Actually, why am I even doing this? I just realized I could make my life so much easier. Why am I doing this? So chat, today I taught you how to use this tool and then just never used it again. So we want to kind of get a line going. A line. It's a line, it's a line. I'm actually going to make the repeated density really small. Not too small, but pretty small. Small enough to, you know, really be malleable. And I kind of want this to be, like, on the very edge of the green. I don't really want it on the transparent area. Because, again, we want this to be, like, perfectly masking whatever it covers. You will not see the color, but you will absolutely see if you do not do this very well. It's also why hard pixels is a really good idea for this. I like hard pixels for the mouth, not so much for the eyes. I like it to be a little softer. So I use the anti-aliasing that's like the weakest anti-aliasing. It's like a slight blur, but not super blurry. And this also ensures that highlights and stuff do not escape their little hole. Because that's basically what this is it's effectively a hole. A hole in the rig to see the eyes. So in some senses, Live2D is kind of like 3D. You know? Like, even when you're using warp deformers and stuff, like, the way you do, like, perspective and whatnot is, like, actually, like, making it look more 3D bent. Okay. Getting close to where I want with this. Because this is actually going to be one of the rare instances we actually want to have, which I'm actually going to go ahead and kind of push that out. We actually want to have it cutting off a little bit. Not a lot, because we tried to get it as close to the actual eye as possible. But this ensures that nothing can escape this zone. There'll be no weird wonkiness going on. No weird wonkiness. And then we're gonna confirm this. We're gonna come up here, we're gonna connect that. I may adjust just a few of these things so that they're a little bit nicer to the edge. Making sure it like perfectly cuts off anything that's like blurry. Because I don't want it to be hard pixel seen when it actually closes, which is also why I like the slight aliased. Just for the eye, okay? Do not get any bright ideas about doing that for other things. But specifically for the eye, when it comes to like the lip masks, those are more of a hard edge. So now we are going to go ahead and, as before, we glue. We are now glued. And forevermore, the mask glue is going to be the one that we actually move for this stuff. Okay. So it is getting a little bit... I was just looking at like all the little stretchy dudes. So let me actually show you exactly what I mean, chat. So now when we want to do our eye close, we can actually come through. I might even do it here and now. You know what? Duck it. We are not actually rigging yet, but what we ultimately want to do... Well, actually, really quickly, I'm gonna come in here and just... I realize I forgot to do this. Okay. So now we don't have, like, the weird border. We don't need it for this. This is literally just so that we can close the eye really cleanly. So, what we end up doing... Let me find this. Okay. I feel like this works. So we're gonna do IL open. And you can kinda do one of these. You see how that works, chat? This is the magic of glue. So we literally come in here on the actual, like, glue mesh itself. And we don't want it to be too crunchy. But we are going to kind of crunch it a little bit. And we're just going to be doing one of these until, you know, we get the eye pushed in. Also, I realize I'm on the wrong side, so let's reflect that. There we go. You want to do this on the 0, chat. Do not do what I just did. And the reason why we're using this brush also, instead of just squishing it, is to make it a little bit more lively. But now that we're at about this stage, might be able to get away with a little bit of a squishy. So we're gonna want to first actually let me do this correctly. This is not what I wanted to do. This is okay. I see what we're doing here. Okay. Well, that's not at all what I wanted to do. I wanted to actually change this. Because if I do, yeah. I think because it's glue, it doesn't want to. That's fine. Because if we try to just do that, it's not gonna quite work the same. Yeah. So we'll just continue pushing this up. I'm gonna make my brush a little smaller. I also have my weight set kind of high. Let me actually set it higher. I realize this is going to take too long doing this. And we have a very specific objective in mind. Make the brush smaller. Doo-doo-doo. We don't want to crunch it too much. You want to crunch it just enough. I also just realized that Hot to Know Village is playing. Now, note, we are actually doing this on the actual mesh itself and not a deformer. And the reason for this is because sometimes things get a little bit too warpy when you do that. I'm gonna kind of get a little bit of a look like this. So now, kind of does one of these. And I could even do a little trick where I take the lower highlight here, and this is actually what I mean when I say you can actually change the mesh later on. If I were to do this, right? And then I do this, I could make it so that here, it just does that. Now, obviously, that's no bueno. We don't really want that showing anyway, but you can do that to make like the highlights like kind of fade down. I'm gonna continue. Here. And we are going to let's say I'm gonna do one of these. I know, one of these. Oh, I hate when it wants to do weird stuff. Okay. Yep. We'll ball. We'll just continue doing this. Normally I would not, but it must be done. It must be done. Because I kind of want to get it to like a little crease when the cat blinks. We don't really have eyelids. We do not. Little too close. Too close. Eh. Doo-doo-doo. Kind of just bring this all the way in. And doing the same for the rest of this. Now, typically you have eyelashes to cover this. In this case, we do not. So we're just gonna try to get this as close to like a flat line as we can to make it look like an eyelash. And this is also why we only do like that middle circle area. We don't really need to have like the outer part, because this is actually what's just hiding everything. And we could even turn this into like an upside down U shape. Yes, here we go. We are starting to actually see the shape we want. Because what we can actually do with this, as wild as this sounds, is we can actually use a temporary path deformer once we have kind of a straight line here. Let me see really quickly how this looks. It's a little hard to see when you're... There we go. I kind of want this to be like a U shape a little bit. Just a little bit. I don't want it to be crazy. There we go. The right one to look at here. So we're gonna go into temporary deform tool. We're gonna do temporary path deformation. Now what you can actually kind of do is make a temporary path deformer. Oh. There we go. And you can kind of do one of those. And now we have a little bit of an arc. If I click off of there, you can see the arc. Mostly see the arc, because on account of, yeah. Also, this wanted to kind of move over, so we're gonna kind of do one of those. We gotta make sure. Undo. Okay, let's see how that opens, because we want it to flow well. Now we can add extended interpolation to this. Or maybe we can't, I realize. Because it needs to have 3 points. So how about... Because I will end up doing like a higher one later, but for now we can do like 0.5. I will probably be deleting that later. Because now it does a little bit better of an eye close. There we go. So I'll probably be changing that later. But this is just for now so you could see that moves a lot better. And now we have an eye blink. So that's why the glue, that is the literal reason we use glue for that. And it's a nice little effect. Oh yeah. We'll probably finish all the glue setup and whatnot on next stream. Because I have some things I gotta get to doing today. I did not expect to take so long. I had too much fun today. After not being on stream for like a week. So we are gonna go ahead on the, let me go ahead and fix my, I should probably fix this. Where is Live2D? There we go. Fixing that so that y'all aren't seeing my stuff. But I figure we can go ahead and wrap up for here. Streamception. Yeah, we can wrap up for here. I kind of want to see. I know I'm being weird right now, but that's just kind of how I am. Let's see who all's on. Hey, Julius. It's good to see you. I don't know how long you've been there. But we're getting ready to like wrap up, I think, right out for the Twitch side. Also, it looks like our good friend Ollie and Ashford's on, so I think actually you guys need to see this model, okay? Like actually in action. So we're gonna, I think, raid over to our good friend Ollie, and I didn't even realize that they were live. So on the YouTube side, we're gonna go ahead and kind of end things here. Maybe in the future, one day, we will be able to raid out. When I probably, you know, when I get to the point where I can. And thanks, Dazzle. Thanks for popping in. Thank you, everyone, honestly. So we're gonna end it over on the YouTube side. And we'll be back on Wednesday for a short morning stream trying to finish this part up. When I get a chance, I will eventually edit things down into a more condensed form. But for now, we will see you later on YouTube. And then on the Twitch side here,